and thank you for joining us for the AACUC Commitment to Change Credit Unions Unite Against Racism Friday Conversation. Reunite, Reignite. We're glad you're here. Please note the housekeeping rules for this afternoon's event. We know that life happens and you may need to step away. Take a call or even have a conversation. We ask that you immediately please mute the volume on your microphone and or devices, as well as to stop your video. Please note these functions can be found at the bottom of your screen or your devices. You are important to us. Please do not forget to start your video upon return as we are truly connected. And remember, unless you are called upon as a program participant, please keep your volume muted or on your microphone and or devices. We encourage you to engage with us throughout the afternoon with the virtual clap and chat. If you have any questions, send them in the chat or raise your hand virtually. Now, without further ado, please help me welcome our very own SP Poblano Cox, Training Manager for AACUC. Take it away, SP.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm going to admit that was a little weird because I usually do those, but I am your moderator today. So I'm in my head like playing it. You killed it, by the way. So welcome, everyone. I am so excited for today's Friday conversation because it's been almost a month. Can we believe that? It's been almost a month since over 450 smiling faces joined us in St. Petersburg, Florida for a week full of networking and learning, and it really felt like a family reunion. So today's nice treat is our amazing panelists. We're going to chat with them, see what their experience was like. And as you hear the conversation going, feel free to share your experience. I mean, there's another conference. It's annual conference for a reason. So we want to know what your experience was like as well. And like Kelly mentioned, any questions, send them in the chat. So because here at AACUC, we start on time and end on time, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of great information. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first question. And I'm actually going to start with Mr. Adrian Johnson. Mr. Adrian Johnson is not only one of our board members, but also the EVP and CFO of MECU Credit Union. And Mr. Johnson, I want to know, share your conference experience. What was it like? What session or activity did you enjoy the most?
Oh man, thank you for the introduction, SB. It's nice to be on the panel with Latanya, John, and also Jamar. And nice opening, Kelly. So really appreciate it. So I see that I'm the oldest guy on the panel. Good afternoon, AACUC family. Happy Friday. This was my 20th conference, and so I've had 17 conferences in person, of course, or 18 in person, and of course the last 2 years have been virtual. As SP mentioned, I'm the Executive Vice President, CFO of MECU Credit Union in Baltimore, but I'm also serving on the board for AACUC. And I was the chairman from 2018 to 2020. So I'm always excited and amazed and rejuvenated and re-energized every time I attend one of these conferences. But I got to tell you, you guys really hit it out the park. Congratulations to Renee, Donya, the conference committee, everybody who had a part in this thing. Because it was just amazing, and I love the tagline: connect, learn, and grow. Networking. For over 450 people were in the room in various times or all at one time, and it was just a great experience. And so to the AACUC family that's out there in the audience today, to folks that did not get a chance to go to the conference, put it on your list for 2023. We'll certainly be in Atlanta. And so I just, all the different, to me, it's a holistic type of an event. And what I mean by that, we have the historical tour. I always go on the historical tour. There's some folks that go golfing, the financial reality fair, the sessions. I mean, if you're not uplifted by those sessions or motivated by those sessions, man, we got to talk to you. So it's just a lot of great stuff going on. And the Peak Career Lifetime Achievement Award dinner, Time Muse just unreal, just spectacular. The Hall of Fame, these are pre-conference activities, and just to all the inductees, congratulations again. And just so heartfelt and heartwarming. And it's, you're right. It's like a family reunion. So I'll shut up.
No, I love it. And like you said, there's so many activities, virtual reality fair. We introduced the Small CU Summit. I mean, it really was jam-packed and definitely felt like family was reunited again. So with that, LaTanya, I have you also on the panel, and I want to hear about you. What was your experience like? And tell us more about the sessions and activities that you enjoyed, and also the ones that you led, because you were also one of our speakers. Tell us what it was like.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on the call today. First, I'll start off with the Small Credit Union Summit. Many times, working at a small credit union, you may feel left behind. I know me working at a small credit union for the last 18 years, seems like I know we shouldn't compete, but we do in a sense. But the Small Credit Union Summit was absolutely amazing. You left feeling energized. I remember a few months ago, Mr. Smith spoke at the Underground, and one of the words that he had for credit union for our industry was the word hope. So leaving the Small Credit Union Summit, you gained another respect and hope that credit unions will continue to do the great work that we're doing. I had the opportunity to be a speaker and share my knowledge with over 30 CEOs of lending, which is my passion, my baby, that I'm currently the Director of Consumer Lending and Marketing at GPO Federal Credit Union. So I really enjoyed sharing my best practices. Secondly, I had the opportunity to co-host with the great Danya Dorman for our chapter meet and greet, which was phenomenal. Just to see the chapters come together with friendly competition and just everyone was just engaged and involved. I really enjoyed that. And after speaking with a couple of chapter members, definitely enjoyed us having the opportunity to provide the chapters with the booth at the exhibit hall, just keeping everyone engaged. I definitely would like to give a shout out to all the chapters, but to our Eastern Regional chapter for raising the most money for charitable donations to a charity in St. Pete. So I definitely enjoyed that. And lastly, I had the opportunity to serve as a volunteer support staff for travel and hotels. So many of our speakers, definitely our Hall of Fame inductees, I had the honor just to make sure that they actually arrived on time and had suitable lodging. If you've seen me running around, it was because I wanted to make sure each conference attendee had an extraordinary experience with not only the conference, but with their hotel. So I definitely enjoyed the conference, and every year we say it gets better and better, but I don't know how much more better it can get, but I know that we're going to do things a lot more differently in the future.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. And it's true, you were amazing. Travel accommodations, the hotel, just everything that you did for that week, even leading up to the conference itself, was fantastic. And the friendly competition, I heard a lot about that. There was a little bit of like competition going on, chapters trying to get you to go to their booths when I was able to go in there. So I'm pretty sure some of us want to see that again, just so that we can continue that friendly competition.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. So we do have a new board member that joined us for the conference as well and is joining us on the panel, Mr. John Bissell. And Mr. John, I pose the same question to you. Share what your experience was like and what were those highlight moments for you?
Well, thank you so much, SB. I want to thank everyone for such an amazing conference. You and the staff, the team, the board of AACUC put on, I think, the single best event I've ever been to in the entire credit union movement. I've been in the movement for 20 years, and I've been to dozens, maybe hundreds of conferences and gatherings. This was absolutely the high watermark, the most inspiring, most inclusive conference I've ever been to. What I came away feeling was, and I'm the president and CEO of Greylock Federal Credit Union. We're up in Western Mass, Eastern New York. I am a brand new board member, as you said. I'm really humbled that the membership of the AACUC elected me to the board. I'm going to work really hard to pull my weight on that board. It's an incredible group. I came away wishing that my entire community here and really my entire nation felt as joyful, inclusive, diverse, inspiring, thought-provoking as that conference did. Honestly, if that's a picture of what our country could look like in 2040 or 2050, where Black excellence is uplifted as the norm, not the exception, where every gender identity is embraced, where every race and culture and creed is celebrated, sign me up. I mean, I think that's a beautiful view of where we, I hope, are going with the credit union movement and with this whole nation. That is my hope. I found that the networking was probably my favorite thing, honestly. Every single session and breakout I went to, I came away with a notebook full of great ideas, but it was really the people that I met. It did feel like a family reunion. And even though I'm kind of new to the family, I'm grateful to my friend Adrian for introducing me to the AACUC back in, I think it was 2018 or 2019, and then was able to attend the 2 virtual conferences. But this was my first in-person one, and I was just knocked out, and I'll definitely be back for more. So thank you.
And I love that. And I know I saw in the chat that there were some people that unfortunately weren't able to attend. So maybe Mr. Bissell will share those notes and be able to share what he got away from those different sessions, because we had three sessions consecutively each day that had 3 mini sessions within each one, so 9 total. So definitely a lot of notes that I could see that people were taking. And certainly not last but not least, Mr. Jamar Jameson was also there for his 2nd conference, if I remember correctly. So Jamar, share with us, what was your experience like? What activity or session were you like, this is the highlight of this week for me?
Hi, thanks, SB. Yeah, I was trying to think while everybody was speaking, what was my favorite? And honestly, I can't really pinpoint one. I have a lot of great moments and memories that happened there. Yeah, I will concur and say that LaTanya, she dropped the mic at the small credit union because I was listening. And if you know LaTanya, she's cool, and sometimes she can be soft-spoken. And then she got up in front of that crowd and the softness went away. She was a roughneck, and she dropped some gems for everybody. And I was glad to be there to capture those moments. If you don't know, I'm the video editor over at CUNA, Credit Union National Association in the DC office. So I'm always moving around, and I'm hearing people, I'm catching people's reactions. So I'm not always sitting in every room and every breakout, but I pop in, I pop out. I'm catching people coming out. I'm getting those reactions. I'm seeing them smiling, talking, laughing, enjoying and what was just heard. And I get to sit down and interview some of these people, thankfully, and I hear how how satisfied they are with what they heard at the AACUC conference. So just being a part of that and seeing where people want to go, how they want to move in the AACUC field and just in the credit union field, how they get re-energized, how they reignite, right? And it's a beautiful thing. As everybody said, it's like a family reunion. And it's even wow, because some of us, we've never even met each other in person over these past 3 years, right? So this is the first time some of us even got to see each other in person, to meet, to talk, to see what each other look like, and hang out in a personal space. So I have to say, it just, hey, Susie, just keep doing your thing. I enjoy every aspect of it. I enjoy seeing the people winning awards like you, SB. We didn't know you were going to get an award and winning, and all the work you do, Danya, and I could spend all day name dropping, but there's just so many people who do so many great things. And if you didn't get a chance to go to the conference, there will be videos of the conference up soon. There will be interviews from people that you should definitely try to check out. So just keep an eye on AACUC's YouTube and Vimeo accounts for those videos.
Yes, and those videos I am excited for. I did get a little bit of a sneak peek, so I'm putting it on everybody's radar. Keep a lookout in the newsletters. the videos that Jamar did, the interviews that you did with most of our attendees, I think a lot of our speakers, perfection. Jamar is a video wizard. Now, one of the common things that I heard from most of you is the networking. So I do want to touch base on the networking. I feel like most times when you go to a conference, that's what you're looking forward, right? Making those connections. So Latanya, I want to start with you. What are some of those connections that you made during the conference that maybe you wouldn't have made otherwise, or the ones that you're just like, this is why we do this. This is why I attend the AACUC conference.
Yes, just having the opportunity to meet so many different people, but one that stood out to me most was Saturday morning when I was able to actually sit down because I was running so much, would have been my conversation over breakfast with Mr. Bissell. We had a great conversation during our conference reflections that Saturday, but just making those connections and learning from everyone. I think even no matter where you are in your career path, you can always learn. So just making those career connections and just your personal and professional growth is important. So I connected with many people just by working with the hotel and then putting the faces with the names. So my LinkedIn is still going on. So I connected.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned LinkedIn. I have been browsing, and I'm sure a lot of you have too. And it's been, like I said, almost a month, and AACUC conference reflections are still trending. And I love reading those because everybody had their own unique experience or those aha moments. So, Mr. Bissell, I'm going to come back to you on that one. What were some of those aha moments or the people that you met in person that you've only met virtually that just, they've lingered with you and you're like, yes, I want to do this again and again and again?
Well, thank you. I have to say, breakfast on Saturday morning, chatting with Latanya was absolutely a great, wonderful experience for me. She has a lending background, but she's also doing marketing. She really brought out for me just what it's like being, I'm a $1.6 billion credit union CEO. She's at a much smaller institution, but she's such an entrepreneurial person, such a great problem solver. I was hugely impressed by that. The networking also gave me a chance to meet with some new folks. I see Deshaun Shepard is on here today, and despite the fact that I'm a lowly Red Sox fan, and he's not, he's rocking his Yankees shirt today. That's okay. It's your year, not mine. But we managed to strike up a relationship, and we've stayed in touch since the conference, even though I think that was the first time we've met. And other people who I've gotten to know through other AACUC programs, like the cross-cultural exchange program. I've had a chance to get to know Hazel May Overturf. She's here today as well. And we were able to meet in person there, which was just a blessing. And then lastly, meeting all the staff of AACUC. You are a phenomenal team, and the board. It's just so inspiring to be part of this board now, to understand the rich history of what this organization has meant to so many people and where we're trying to take it into the future.
Yes, and I loved being able to see all of our graduates there. We had Hazel May, Ari. I mean, the pictures that are coming from those, also keep an eye out for those, just dropping that little tidbit there. But Deshaun Shepard did help us a lot, and he helped Jamar with those interviews that I mentioned. And because this was my first in-person conference, Jamar, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was something new to do those testimonials, correct?
Yeah, so this was pretty much new for these testimonials. And I'll jump on the Deshaun train. I never met that brother until the conference, and we just clicked like that, even though, again, I tend to be friends with a lot of Baltimore people, and I don't get it. Me being from the Burgh, from Pittsburgh, I don't know why we connect so cool, but I'm gonna be more people straight. And Deshaun, he's super cool. He's super great on as an interviewer on camera. He's asking the right questions. He's getting people to be in their natural elements. Also, Team Hazel May as well. She radiance on. She radiance on camera. She's one person that, if we're around, if I'm in the same place she is, I'm putting on camera for some reason. Stella. I mean, there's so many different people. AJ. There's all this talent at the AACUC conference. There's all these people who bring all these different gifts and skills, and that's what I love about it. That's why I'm glad. I like networking there. I like being a part of it. I get to meet these different people. For the job that I do, is to hear these great stories from individuals. It's to get to know their background and get to know a little bit about them. So, and that's just me in general. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I love connecting with those people, reconnecting with people. One video real quick was, Sandy Green. She has a company, Guitars for Good, and she's doing great things as well. And just hearing from first met her in Charlotte, the company in Charlotte, to where they are now, what they're doing now. It's just mind-boggling, and it's just so great to hear of all these people doing all these new things and just continuing throughout the pandemic and just being great individuals. So thank you.
I love it. You can just feel, I know we're all virtual and it's Zoom, but I feel like we can just feel that energy in this space. You might be in your house, might be all cozy and comfy, but I feel like we can feel the energy, and it almost feels like you're back there. The only difference is I can't run up and hug all of you and say hi. So it just feeds my soul. Now this next question I do want to direct to Mr. Johnson. Now I know you said you've been to 20 conferences, which is amazing. So I want to know how many people were there in the past, and how did you feel about having over 450 this time? Like the difference, the involvement that you've seen.
I guess, if you could have seen my heart, the way my heart was beating and the way I felt, I felt like a grandfather, right? And so it just made me feel warm, So when I walked into I think it was the island room, the big room, and I just looked from left to right, and I saw that the room was packed and everybody was there, and everybody looked good and everybody was smiling, and it was just it was heartfelt, to tell you the truth. It's just amazing. I actually had my wife there this year too, and actually, it was money well spent. So I had her there, and she went to some of the sessions, after the beach and all that kind of good stuff. But she just had a great time too, in the sessions, and it was just great. So, when I first went to a AACUC conference, which was back in 2003, and I think we're in Detroit, if we had 100 people there, that was a lot. And the agenda has probably been the same over the last 20 years, but it's just gotten better and better and better, and more people were there. In 2000, our last in-person conference, which would have been 2019, we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we thought we knocked it out the park then. We had about 250 people. And so as I mentioned, it just kind of keeps getting better and better. And so I'm just, I just feel so good from the board perspective, because we want to put a product out there that the membership can take hold of and take advantage of, and get some takeaways from. And so, the networking, you never know who you're going to meet and the impact that they're going to have on your life. And, I met John in a leadership class, back in, I don't know, around 2010, give or take a couple of years. And I think he was the executive vice president of Greylock back then. And so you never know who you're going to meet. You never know the impact they're going to have in your life. And the power is always in the network. I tell people that all the time, the power in the network. And so, as John mentioned earlier, Black excellence. This conference exhibits Black excellence, and we are very inclusive, and it is a family, and we're very welcoming, and we behave. And so, all the stereotypes, all the stuff you hear, man, I just walk away just feeling great about when we left Tampa. We left a mark on Tampa, and we put our best foot forward.
I love it. So just like you shared, Mr. Adrian, you brought your lovely wife. I was lucky enough to be able to bring my family. And I know, Jamar, you brought your family too, because you met my husband on the way to your room. And I know my husband met quite a few of you, and he was blown away. So Jamar, from your stance and having this be more of a family event where you're able to bring your family, how did that feel? What was that like for you to be able to have your little ones with you?
Well, first I have to say thank you, AACUC, for allowing me to bring my family. My family had a great time. SB, your family is also very beautiful. Your husband, your son, the long flowing hair. Like, I wish I had hair like that. But yeah, my family enjoyed it. It was the first time my wife been to AACUC conference. She might have heard, last year doing the virtual, but it's not the same as being there. And she was just blown away. And she's someone who likes conferences and everything. So she actually attended some. She went to the reality fair, if I'm not mistaken. She went to that. She stepped in that one, and she was just blown away with that, and just the presentation and the fact that the kids were on the beach and they were doing that big slide and everything, and they're like, Dad, can you get there? I'm like, Daddy's working, but I'll try to get there eventually. But we all just had so much fun. It's just it's something that I will never forget. I know they won't forget. And just like you said, it being a family, just a family-friendly conference organization. And also, if you didn't get to use, or other people who had children, there was a daycare provided, and those ladies, they were great. They were so nice. My kids, they loved it. They had a great time. It's just everything. It's like you all think about everything. Y'all think about every aspect to make everybody happy and comfortable. And I appreciate the entire AACUC staff for doing that. And it shows, because we have memories that's going to last forever.
I love that. Memories that will last forever. And that's the goal with these. We want to have those memories. We want to have those friendships. I was a little jealous of all of the children that were in daycare, because I heard they got pizza. And I love pizza. So when I heard they were getting pizza, I'm like, I need to go to the daycare too. They wouldn't let me leave though. But I'm glad that they enjoyed it. Like I said, my husband met a lot of you, and he was like, this is amazing. Like, I can see why you all are so passionate about what you do, and why you continue to make an effort to be involved. I mean, our volunteers, I have to stop and give our volunteers a shout out. You all were amazing. You were running around like all of us that our staff were. You were just asking, where can I help? Where do you need me? And that is amazing to have the volunteers be so dedicated and so passionate, and just that feel of serving. You're wanting to serve others. And that's just from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so, so much. Now we have somebody else that has been to quite a few conferences as well, Miss LaTanya Allen there. You've been to seven conferences. I want to be like you. What was your first conference like, and how have you seen that involvement grow? Like, what are your visions for the future?
Sure. So I attended my very first conference was in 2013 in Detroit, Michigan. I have 4 things that really stood out to me. I remember that conference like it was yesterday. I met Mr. Adrian Johnson on the boat ride that we had with the live band. It was amazing. Before I get into all the fun things, I met Mr. Johnson. The second thing I was able to participate in was our very first financial reality fair, which was so powerful, exciting, and to see it now have that same energy is amazing. It was with Michelle Montgomery and Janet McDonald. We and Mr. Harold Holmes, of course, helped with that. But I will be authentic with this. My very first feeling, as I walked into the conference, I felt intimidated and overwhelmed. I was a member service representative when I first started to attend the conference. And I've attended several conferences beforehand, but I was at that time only the African American at the conference. Well, fast forward, I'm at AACUC conference, and I see people that look just like me. The only difference is that these are executives, CEOs, vice presidents, board members. It was a lot. So I learned so much that year, and I walked in there feeling overwhelmed and just sort of intimidating. However, I can tell you when I left, just the impact. I can still remember Mr. Milton Hunt. If you heard him this year, and the way he made people leave the way he made you feel leaving out of there, imagine just in 2013, I remember exactly what he spoke about. What one of the things was gas, which was get your attitude straight. So in my career path, during my career path, that's something I've always focused on is my attitude. making sure I have the right attitude. But I left just feeling, I went running back to the credit union, wanting to do more. And I still consider, I'm still that person, like Mr. Bissell said, problem solver. But I felt that way at that first conference. And then we ended that conference that year. We had a church service. I remember meeting Mr. Maurice Dawkins and Miss Helen Godfrey Smith did a sermon on passing the torch. And it was powerful. And I looked today in 2022, Renee and the board done just that. They passed the torch, and Miss Renee, she went running with it, and it's still lit. One of the other things before I end that was my very first conference experience, because I'm looking at Miss Tracy Jackson as, as I'm on this Zoom. When I first attended the conference, one of the reasons why I probably felt overwhelmed was because there was not many young professionals. I remember probably being Tracy and Dwayne for a couple of years. So now to see all the young professionals and just to see the opportunities provided by AACUC for everyone, but definitely our young professionals, is amazing. So that's how I feel. That's brilliant.
I love that you touched point on the young professionals as well, because Danya did share during one of our sessions that we had a really great turnout from our young professionals, and we had quite a few of first-time attendees. So I'm going to go a little bit off script here, and I want to hear from a first-time attendee that actually didn't really know a lot about AACUC, and that is Mr. Antonio Miller. Now, he was the award recipient for the Miss Lynette Smith AACUC Conference Scholarship. And I believe, Antonio, you're here on the call.
I am.
Hello.
There
Welcome.
it is.
So I want to hear a little bit from you. Tell me what your experience was like as not only the award recipient, which congratulations. I know I said it to you multiple times because I met you at registration and I had you go find Danya for this, but just what your experience was like.
So I saw the scholarship on LinkedIn. I was just scrolling because I participate with the Virginia Credit Union League and their Emerging Professional Network. And I just took a shot. I was like, man, this looks pretty cool. I'll see what happens. And I got a response immediately. Lynette reached out to me immediately and just kind of whisked me through the process of what I need to do to qualify and everything. And it was like within 48 hours, I got the scholarship. I met Miss Smith, who's amazing. I met Danya, and I was connected with a couple of professionals, I think from Suncoast for small business, because I started a small business program for our credit union here in Petersburg. But I mean, everything from how to get the conference and getting there, Lynette kind of helped me out. I took Southwest. I've been traveling American Airlines all summer. Who knew it was a better way out there? So thanks, Lynette. Much better than my previous experience this summer. But not to take too long, I had a blast first and foremost. I got a chance to probably see a little bit more of St. Pete than some of the people on this call. I went and rented a moped and went around the city. But two powerful moments stood out to me. Three. When I got there, I got a chance to do karaoke, and that kind of set the tone for my first conference. I don't know if anybody got a chance to hear me yell "ow" for like 3 minutes. That happened. But the two powerful moments was everything Todd Muse was pretty powerful. That's a African-American male who I got to see, who manages, $5 billion, paid for his undergrad with triple jump the same way I did, loves West Coast hip hop the same way I do, and just a really genuine person. Seeing that was eye-opening because I got a chance. I've been in the credit union world for maybe 9 months now, and I now know there's a world credit union organization at a national level, but I had no idea there was a credit union community of Black professionals, and not just Black professionals, but dynamic professionals. So now my viewpoint has totally changed because it's not just a community that I'm a part of. I now see it's one that I can thrive at the highest levels of. So, that's what the conference did for me. It was incredible. Another powerful piece was the late night session with Kevin. I've been to a few conferences this summer, but this one hit home because this was a gentleman who's successful and put together a breakout where it wasn't about the professional development and, you know, what's going on in the credit union world. He spoke to the people in the room and their experiences with society overall. And, you know, not only that, but he's vulnerable in doing so. This is, you know, we all know some of the things that have happened. This is how it affected me. You know, this was my response to it. How are you guys feeling? Which made me feel great. It's like, okay, we can have these conversations in this space, you know, with these type of professionals and, you know, get some realness going. So all in all, my experience, and I detailed it in like a 3-page document. My experience was great. And now I've been talking about AACUC with all of my, you know, minority teammates here at the People's Advantage. I had a conversation with our CEO about it, who's enthusiastic and, you know, wants to be a part of it as well. So it didn't just change my perspective on credit unions. I think it's going to help further diversify our credit union and, you know, shine some light on what a career path could look like with some of my teammates, you know, through me. So thank you to Lynette Smith, who was there the whole way. Epsi also, when I showed up for like a deer in headlights, but Lynette for just being like so welcoming and putting her arm around me and introducing me to people. You don't always get that from somebody of her stature. So she's a real one for that. And I appreciate her a lot for the opportunity. And I put my LinkedIn in the chat too. So anybody want to connect, let's do so. I'm with it. I'll do it again, just in case you guys don't want to scroll all the way up.
I love it. Yes, let's continue the connection. And thank you so much, Antonio, for sharing that. Like I said, when I saw you at registration, I'm like, wait, I know that name. I know it's important. And you're here just in time. And Miss Lynette is amazing. And I'll just say, I think you drank the AACUC/credit union movement Kool-Aid. So good luck trying to leave, because I don't think that's possible. Once you're in it, you can't get enough of it.
I'm here.
So one of the other things that we hit based on a lot is networking. And because a lot of you have attended so many conferences, I would like you to share what your best networking tips are. We had quite a few first-time attendees, quite a few young professionals. So what are those tips and tricks for networking that you have? And Mr. Adrian Johnson, I'm going to kick it off with you. What are those tips that you want us to use and utilize like crazy moving forward for conferences to come?
Well, and I guess since I've been around a little while, so I've been kind of doing this, a long time. But a long time ago, I learned that networking certainly can be beneficial. And so you got to be intentional about it. And so if you knew who I was 30 years ago, I've been in this industry. I've been in the financial services industry for 44 years, but I've been with AACUC for 25 years. So I've been in the credit union space for 25 years. So I'm a still a recovering banker, and I even have my gold watch to, from AACUC 25 years. But I think, and I'm truly an introvert, although it doesn't seem that way to some folks. I'm truly an introvert. And so it was kind of hard for me 30 years ago to talk to other people or to try to see, what they were up to, that type of thing. But back in 1992, there was an organization on the banking side, Maryland Association of Urban Bankers. There had a National Association of Urban Bankers, which is a national organization. And, I was actually at a meeting down at the Federal Reserve Bank in Baltimore, their branch of Richmond. And the president, he remembered me because we had a reunion, we had a reunion dinner for the high school I went to. Every November, there's a dinner that occurs. And he remembered me and he said, give me a card, I'll put you in contact with somebody. And so what happened was that person called me. Her name was Carolyn Smith, may she rest in peace. And she said, it's a little too late right now, but let me invite you to our breakfast. And she invited me to the breakfast. It was held at the Federal Reserve Bank. And to make a long story short, first two people I met was Carolyn and a guy named Bert Hash. And so if you haven't met a guy like Bert Hash, if you don't know who he is, so I feel like a second generation chairman here, because he was first a board member and then he was a chair. And so, that's why I've been coming to these conferences so long. But I guess the point of it all is I was very intentional, although I was nervous about it, although I was a little scared about it, I was very intentional about it. So what I did was every quarter, every 3 months, I put it on my calendar to reach out to Bert, to have lunch with him, just to talk about stuff. And so he was the managing director of a bigger bank in Baltimore. And I was the highest ranking Black at the bank I was at. And it was a small bank, though, just a community bank. So I needed to hear from him, get some tips. Well, I didn't know, fast forward, I didn't know he was going to become president and CEO of MECU. And back then we're called Municipal Employees Credit Union. I did not know. And so he was looking for some expertise in the area, and the stars lined up. 25 years ago, I just graduated from grad school, ready to change the world. And I ended up where I am at MECU. And so that started my journey. So I would say my tip is you have to be very intentional. You have to, you have to take that step, but you also have to follow up. All right. And so if somebody gives you their card, don't expect them to call you. You reach out to them. And so just from this conference alone, I had a conference call with Tony Moore, setting up a conference call with Emma Hayes about cultural planning. And so Milton Hunt is right in our backyard. And so, I reach out to people. There's a young lady, and I can't think of her last name, but I know her first name is Regina. She works for Visions, Ty Muse's organization, and she's running a branch in an urban community in Rochester, New York. Well, she's going to be talking to some of our folks at the credit union in early October because they need to understand what she's doing at that credit union. So our branch folks can try to get out in that community and do those same things. And this was at the breakfast, the conference reflections on Saturday. And so, of course, you're not required, nobody was required to go, but a lot of people showed up. And so that's the other part. You got to show up, you got to get involved. And so those steps alone, my career has been a very rewarding career because of those steps, those little steps that I've taken. And so for the young professionals, AACUC was older, like Latanya mentioned, and we pivoted, brought some young people in. Renee, continued with that walk, and we have a lot of young professionals within the organization. You all should know each other across the country. You all should be connecting. And I always believe in connecting the dots. And so if somebody, if somebody can help you enhance your position, if I have a question or I need to call, I'll reach out to John Bissell. He makes time. And so there are folks like that, like him, like Bert, Maurice Smith. I visited him last month and went down to his credit union. And so these folks are folks that will really help you. And that's what I love about the credit union space, right? People helping people. And so you find that permeates not only with our members, but also with folks networking across this industry.
I love it. So remember, we're going to add these up, but be intentional, stay in touch and follow up. Most important part, follow up and show up and get involved. So Mr. Bissell, what about you? What are some networking tips that you have that you can share with us?
Oh boy, there's not much I can add to Adrian's wonderful list. One thing I really appreciated about what he brought up, being intentional, and he also identified how he was true to himself and his own personal style. He mentioned that he's an introvert, so he had to be intentional about making sure he pushed himself out there. I'm an extrovert, right? I've been an extrovert my whole life, and I've been cooped up for 2.5 years, so I couldn't wait to get in that big hall and meet everyone, and I tried to do that. But one thing I try to be intentional about, because I'm kind of a big mouth and don't mind shaking anybody's hand, is to try to connect with the person in the room that might be off by themselves, might be kind of standing back, might not be connecting, and just go try to meet that person. I've made my whole entire career, I've made some great connections that way, just unexpected. I always learn something no matter who I'm talking to. And before you know it, the other thing I try to be intentional about is maybe I can help them connect with somebody else, and maybe they help me connect with somebody else. You never know where the sparks are going to come. But doing that, just knowing who you are and being in the room and intentional and true to who you are. I see my good friend Nathan Cox is here. He's a chief lending officer. He knows more about lending than anyone I've ever met. So I'm always trying to pick his brain about his deep lending knowledge. He and I were able to get dinner during the course of the conference. We came back, we were having an adult beverage and bumped into John Broda from the AFFN, who I met virtually through AACUC. We were able to meet with him in person. That was great. So every single person you meet can connect you to somebody else, and just keep that chain going. I loved Donya Dorman in a recent blog posting said that AACUC is the organization of belonging. That was her phrase. I just think that's so right and so powerful. And that networking is just the way that comes to life.
Yes, I love it. I'm like writing all of these down. So if you see me looking to the side, just know I'm keeping a running list for us, because these are important tips to have. It's true. You never know what connection you'll make that somebody else might need help from, or even yourself, like where that will take you with Mr. Johnson. LaTanya, Allen, how about you? Give me some of those networking tips that you have, because I know you have quite a few.
Actually, Mr. Adrian and Mr. Bissell summed it up for me. I actually just had a conversation this morning with two people about being intentional. But I would say for me, it's one of the things that I've always kept in my pocket in my career is to make sure, because I'm like Mr. Adrian said, he's an introvert. I think I'm at the middle. It takes me a while. I stand back, I observe a lot, but sometimes you do have to just take a leap and get out your comfort zone. And when you go in that room, if you see yourself standing off to the side, then try to connect. That's the only way that you can get to the next level, is by making those connections. But one of the things that gems that I try to keep in mind for myself, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I put a spin to it because it's who knows you. So I try to make sure that I remember that, who knows me, and what impact am I making and leaving a lasting impression, because so many people in this last 6 months have reached out to me, and it's wow, I didn't realize it. So I just have to be mindful, again, your attitude, going that networking like you own it, and just be the boss that you are.
Spoken like a true queen. If you didn't notice in the chat, you have a fan club going. And if you didn't right now, I will share it with you later. But literally, if you go all the way to the top, it's nothing but your fan club going. So I can see that. And I love that you say, it's who knows you. How many people are you truly reaching out to and keeping those connections going and there for them? I like to call it, have your own tribe, right? Your tribe of people.
Yeah. And be intentional. Keep that in mind.
Intentional and be mindful, yes. And Mr. Jamar, share with me your tips.
Oh no, I have none. No, I I have to say a couple of things. One is real quick, is Adrian Johnson. I know as he's dropping names, everybody that he know, I'm thankful that I know him. He is somebody I think all of you should get to know, someone like Adrian. Everybody here should get to know everybody, but definitely Adrian, because he's one of those people too who knows how to connect dots. I watch his gears turn as he meet people and puts people in perspectives and knows how to line the dots, as he says. He's a wizard at that. I have to hop on that if you don't know, I am kind of an extrovert. I'm one of those people that I'm at the bus stop and I have met and I've walked out with friends at the gas station. I'm serious. We trade numbers and stuff like that. Like, I'm just one of those people, like, you talk to me, I'll talk to you, and we can just kick it off. And I love hearing people's stories. I love to get to know people. And someone put in the chat that when you start networking, it doesn't always have to be about business. Sometimes if you just let that part go to the side, sometimes, especially for us DC folks, and a lot of times a lot of us like to talk about who we are, what we are, who we know and stuff. Sometimes you put that to the side and just be human. Just talk about things that you like, things that inspire you. if you sat in a room with me for 5 minutes, you'll know that I'm like a movie buff. Like I can almost never, I can never have a conversation about quoting some sort of movie line. It just always comes out. And I've met so many people from that because of that. And I'll be, well, I know that, I like that too. You know, we do that, or music, or exchange music, or, you know, food. We talk to stuff like that. So just be yourself, be open. Don't talk to someone you don't know, you know, just say, hey, how's it going? What's your day like? You know, just start a little convo and see if it flourishes to something else. That's one of the best things to do. And I think, I believe it was Antonio who said, you know, dropped his LinkedIn in, and that you do that. I mean, I think a lot of us as professionals, we have LinkedIn, and I am one too who always say, hey, hit me up on LinkedIn, you know, just search my name. I'm probably the only Jamar Jemison out there, one of the only. So, you know, hit me up if you have questions. I always tell people, have questions about video, photos, something like that, hit me up. I'm always one to share whatever knowledge I have with other people. And if I don't know, I want to find out. So let's find out together. So I can up my skills. So, you know, so yeah, that's just networking is powerful. And AACUC does a great job with networking and bringing so many people together who otherwise would never have met. And I've met so many people that I never in my life that I would meet or anything, and that's all because of AACUC, and so I appreciate that.
I love that. Yes. And you're very much extroverted. I'm going to just say it. It's not little, it's very much. That's why you are amazing at doing all these videos and you're not shy. And we love that. Now, I want to thank the panelists before I go into this question, because this one's going to be geared to our lovely Miss Danya Dorman, who is our Chief Experience Officer. And I will say it right now, she is who kept everything going. I don't know if many of you know this, but she put together our 2 virtual conferences that we've had, and this one was in person. So, you know, there was a lot of detail that had to go into this. So Danya, my question for you is, how would you explain AACUC to someone who's never heard about us and might be a little bit apprehensive because of the name? And any tips that you can share on networking as well, because you are also a queen of networking. You know a lot of people and you're very outgoing. We love that.
Well, thank you, SB, and hello, everyone, and thank you to our amazing panelists. I will echo, you know, the conference. It took many hands to deliver our exceptional conference. So my sincerest appreciation to all of our volunteers, staff, members, etc. You know, networking, I think, is one of the gems of AACUC. For anyone that didn't know about AACUC, what I would tell them is similar to what Mr. Bissell mentioned. So our immediate past chair, Larry Sewell, he was the inspiration. He's who I first heard that phrase that AACUC is quickly becoming the organization of belonging. And so I think for people of color, AACUC is that place where you can be seen and also see and learn from others that look like you. We've heard that on the call already today, and you may not have the opportunity in your normal day-to-day life at your organization. And why that's important is that we've heard that really sets the stage and has been a source of inspiration and action for our members, whether that was applying for a CEO role or just thinking beyond their own strengths and abilities. So I would also tell people that don't know about AACUC that we're committed to develop and advance talent and careers through our professional development programs. And that ultimately AACUC is simply, it just provides opportunities and platforms, particularly through Miss Renee. She's done a fantastic job of creating a space for people to shine, whether that's being a young professional or a person of color or otherwise. So honestly, don't let the name fool you. While the African American Credit Union Coalition, it was born to give African Americans a connection point, a place for advocacy, for their collective voices to be heard. I would say that AACUC will always be that champion for people of color, but all are welcome. And those opportunities that we talked about, they extend to all people. And so our mission is to increase diversity within the credit union community. And we can't do that unless we have everyone's collective participation and involvement.
If I could say real quick, sorry, I didn't mean to speak out of turn. I will just say that AACUC was diverse before diversity was a hashtag. I'm just going to say that real quick.
So true. Yes, yes, and 1,000 times yes. I will say that I was very happy to see a lot of smiling faces. There was all the shades you can think of, all the talks you can consider. Like it was beautiful. It was really a family reunion. And I'm gonna say I'll let Danya share the next part, but there's more to come. With that, I do want to thank you all. Thank you, panelists, for being amazing and being on this call with us. We look forward to hearing you more in the future and also seeing you again in person, because now I want to see everybody in person all the time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Miss Danya Dorman to close us out.
All right, thank you again, SB. Well, round of applause to our panelists and moderator. You all were fantastic. To our special guest speakers that were, called on and shared their experiences. We really value not only your experience, but your time today. So I wanted to share a couple of announcements before we officially close. The first is, as you know, there's so much content from our conference. And so we're still compiling our photos and articles, the PDFs for our registrants. So we encourage you in the meantime to continue to look at our news page. It's essentially the blog page on the website. The link is in the chat for you. Continue to explore, unpack some articles, know that new material will be added. And if you can't wait for next year's conference, which by the way is our 25th anniversary annual conference, then we have amazing news for you. First of all, it's in Atlanta, and we are going to be launching a pre-registration sale in the next coming weeks. So that will allow you to lock in the 2022 registration rates, as well as 2022 sponsorship rates. So if you're ready to pay or you just need to go ahead and budget for it, this will be your opportunity to do so. That way we can see your beautiful face next year. More information will come out in our weekly e-newsletter or the website and social media, so be on the lookout. And the last thing to close us out is that, as always, the recording of our CTC Conversations will be recorded, or will be available, in the next coming weeks. Save the date for next month's call, which is Friday, October 25th. Oh my goodness, it's Friday, October 21st at 1 p.m. It's always the third Friday of the month. The topic will be the Her Story Giants. And I know that we have several members who were honored with the Her Story Award. So you don't want to miss that one. You can always catch up on past recordings online on our website. And that's about it for our announcement. So I'll do one final pass at our faces. I think we're in a great place. So I'm happy to say thank you for joining us again. From all of us here, please take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time. And we invite the panelists, board, and staff to remain on the line. Take care, everyone.